In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. Warhammer 40k honestly needs no introduction, but I'm going to give you one anyways. Warhammer 40k is this huge, this massive, dark, gothic, over-the-top science fiction fantasy universe where there's just blood and guts and guns and aliens and orcs and elves and magic and really horny people. And it is incredible. Now, this is my new addiction as per the video's title. When I say addiction, right, I don't mean something that, like I start itching at the neck when I go a few days without. I have had this same type of feeling with many different, primarily video game and like science fiction universes before. My first two that come to mind, or the first three actually, being Titanfall, Star Wars, and Destiny. Those were my top three cinematic universes prior to this one. Others would be like DC and Marvel and just things like that. Science fiction universes where they have some representation of Earth and they have different like magic powers and stuff like that. So a lot of good examples. Anime, very good examples over there. Ever since Space Marines 2 came out, which is an incredible game, by the way, it came out yesterday, actually, and I got the Ultimate Edition, so I was able to play it a few days early. The game is incredible, let me just say. It has its own issues, but the game is incredible. And it honestly sparked my love for Warhammer 40k, which has been slowly seeing a few increases here and there years before this game. I remember when I really got into Destiny 2 after taking a couple of years of a break, I heard of Warhammer for the first time. And keep in mind, this is like 3 or 4 years ago. I heard of Warhammer and I was like, huh, that's interesting. And I started falling asleep to those lore videos. I started looking into how I could read some books, and I never really got too far into it. But now I am balls deep and it is incredible. So let me talk about the game, right? Space Marine 2 is a game produced by Focus Entertainment, and it came out yesterday. It fully came out, and it's had many beta tests. It's had many closed access tests for the more elites of society to test out. You got the YouTubers and the companies, whatnot. This game was announced a few years ago, and it was actually delayed, I think, twice. And it is a sequel to the first game, which is Space Marines 1. It's just Space Marine. Warhammer 40k Space Marine, and I played this game. It's a game where you play as Lieutenant Titus and you fight orcs and you do all this really cool stuff. And it was one of my favorite older games on the Xbox. It was absolutely incredible. It was a great game. It was very unique. It blended this kind of combat with, it was like a Gears of War-esque combat with, you got a tiny bit of Halo mixed in there. I feel like the shooting system and like the crosshair placement is very similar to Halo. But the melee and range combat was so fluid, and Warhammer Space Marine 2, it just elevates everything from the first game. But the thing that brings this game to the top of my charts, it's been my most anticipated game of 2024 by a long shot, right? I was going to play Black Myth Wukong, but then I remembered I don't really like one and done type games. I like a game where it has a mix, right? You have the campaign, which you finish, and then you have something else that you can replay. I go for replayability value when it comes to games like these. And Space Marine 2 has a mix of both, which is where I'm going to talk about it and really like try and convince you to get it, because it is incredible. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 is a game that is complete at launch. And I don't mean it is perfect, right? When I say complete, I do not mean it is perfect. It is complete in the aspect that it has a campaign that's done, right? So you can play and finish the campaign and be done with it. It has operations which tie into the campaign, and operations are essentially you and 2 other people go in and you do like campaign-esque missions and whatnot. You get objectives, you get cool cosmetics, and it also has a player versus player mode. There will be more content released in future patches, as per the devs have released a roadmap, and all this content except for season passes will be free. But the good thing about the season passes is that they're only cosmetic, and you will not have to pay for future content. Only cosmetics. Right out of the bat, this game is doing what most AAA studios nowadays are not doing. They're giving the players a full game for the full price of $60, and they're offering other charges for only cosmetics, but they're also giving us more content, more playable features for free. This is something every single game studio needs to take note of. And this game, let me tell you, this game shines like a beacon of light from God with how much darkness the other crappy games around us have been putting out. Like Concord and Dustborn, all of these terrible games, they've been like really decreasing our expectations of the gaming world. And Warhammer 40k drops this, and it is incredible. It's so good. Now, there are a few issues with the game. Let me just say, first off, the game looks incredible, right? The game the first issue I do have is that it is kind of, the game isn't as optimized as it could be. Right now I'm running a 4070 Super with an AMD Ryzen 7 7700X 8-core CPU. So my computer is pretty beefy. I already did a video going over the specs of my computer, the more technical breakdown. So my computer can handle this kind of stuff. And I'm running the game at medium to high graphics at 90 frames. Yeah, 90 frames. And 90% of the time, the game does stay at 90 frames. And I could run it at 120, but seeing that my room is relatively small and I like to keep my door closed, it gets pretty hot in here because my computer emits a lot of heat. Now, with the optimization, the game uses a certain sort of horde engine because of Warhammer 40k. There's a lot of enemies, and we'll get into that in a second. The game uses a horde engine, so every single enemy you see is an enemy that will hit you and an enemy you have to get rid of. So every single time you see a massive swarm of Tyranids coming your way, every single one of those you have to get rid of. And in later missions, like the mission I just got finished with before recording this video, there were thousands of them, and it takes a toll on your computer no matter how powerful it is. So it's to be expected. The next thing is that in the player versus player mode, in like the capture and defend the points game mode, there is only points A, B, and D. There's no point C, which is a little bit strange. I don't, that's not really a complaint. That's just kind of like a what? Another excellent thing I have to say about this game is that the level of customization is impeccable. I must say, as a fan of the Black Templars, I logged into the game and saw that my favorite Astartes chapter was there and available for me to get, and I got it, and I look like a Black Templar Ultimate Giga Chad Space Marine Astartes Ultramarine, dude. I look incredible. And every single part of your armor you can customize, right? There's different, there's 6 classes, right? You have your basic assault class, you have the sniper, the melee, all these different things. And each of those 6 classes comes with their respective weapons and their respective customizable armor. And in Warhammer 40k, there are different Astartes chapters, which is essentially different groups of Space Marines under their respective Primarchs, which is under the Emperor. And these respective chapters, I'm saying respective a lot, that's weird, but these chapters have their own colors, their own schemes, their own personalities, their own color patterns, and their own weapons, and you can customize that. You can make your ideal Space Marine in this game, which is incredible to me. It is a very in-depth customization system that I really didn't expect from a Warhammer game, because Warhammer games in the past have been pretty shallow with customization, Vermintide 2, but it's incredible. And I know that Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 has been the talk of the town these days, the past week. It's been going off the charts, it's been breaking records, and I must say confidently that Helldivers 2 walked so Space Marine 2 can run. Helldivers 2 will be missed because they started nerfing a bunch of stuff in a strictly PvE game. I don't know why you would do that, but Space Marine 2 is very similar to the aspects of Helldivers 2, in respect that you fight a lot of enemies, you fight a lot of aliens. And speaking of aliens, I've been getting bit by bugs a lot. I have a bug bite here, I have a bug bite right here, I have a bug bite here, I have a bug bite here, and I have one on my right leg on the opposite side of my knee. You know, like the area behind your knee, that little like weird skin area. I've been getting bit. The Tyranids, the mosquitoes, they're Tyranids. I gotta purge them. Yeah, they're just very annoying. But I'm losing my track here. I'm losing my focus. I gotta relock in. Now, I will admit, for $60, it is a pretty steep price for the amount of content available at the moment. There are only 3 playable game modes, that being PvP, operations, and the campaign. The campaign is a one and done type deal, although I'm assuming you can replay through it and enjoy every single aspect of it, because so far it's been incredible. PvP, which is the ultimately most replayable thing, however, there are only a select few maps. And then there's operations, which there's only 6 at the moment, but each one has difficulties 1 through 4. And another very minor complaint about the difficulty level is that the first 2 difficulties are identical, but the difficulty jump, the spike between 2 and 3, is immeasurable. It is crazy. It spikes so high it breaks the ceiling. But regardless, I ultimately, aside from that, have no complaints about this game. Although, one thing, you do need a beefy computer to play this game. This game is very CPU heavy, so if you don't have the, of course, CPU required, but also the matching hardware to run the game, you're not going to have a very good time, to say the least. Another misconception I hear a lot of people talking about is that this game is a Souls-like. While the game does have dodging and rolling and meleeing and parrying, but that actually really sounds like a Souls-like. It's not a Souls-like at all. It's kind of like Remnant 2, if you guys remember that game. I played Remnant 2. I'm a big fan. I have like 180 hours on it. It's a mixture of Remnant 2, a tiny bit of Helldivers, a lot of Gears of War, to be honest. There's a lot of similar like gunplay of movement mechanics and from Gears of War, which I like. I'm a big fan of Gears, but it's a great game, a great standalone game that you can buy and play and finish, which sadly is very rare to see nowadays. But regardless, I'm gonna stop yapping and let's wrap this up. Warhammer 40k, my newest obsession, my newest addiction. It is the wallpapers on my computer. I want to get a poster right here above my bed that is just Titus, just boom, right across my room. I want to get many minifigures. I want to start painting them. It is really cool, and I'm very glad that this game brought me more into it. Now, I have been seeing a lot of people saying like, oh, if Warhammer Space Marine 2 got you into Warhammer 40k, then you're a fake fan. That's not true. That's such a weird thing to say. Why? Imagine gatekeeping something, right? Like it's just weird. Regardless, try Space Marine 2 if you're a big fan of these kind of games where you can destroy a lot of bugs. You can get your awesome looking armor all covered in blood and guts, and you can sound like a really cool century-year-old Englishman. It's really cool. I would recommend it 10 out of 10. But yep, I mean, that's about it. I do want to say though, quick little thing. Sorry for the lack of uploads. I just finished a big exam today. I think I passed. I feel pretty good about it. I'll keep you guys updated. Probably. I don't know. But I've been having a hard time managing my time with college and also trying to put out videos and playing video games and working out, doing all this stuff. So it's been tricky, but I'm figuring it out as we go. And I do want to make a video about college pretty soon because I've learned a lot in the a little under a month that I've been in my second year of college. So look forward to that. But for now, stay safe.